Welcome to the final proposal of our Connectivity Park Master Plan. Our design centers around connection, integrating communities with the history and dynamic ecology of Eagles Island through exploration and storytelling. Our design goals include embracing the unique site history and celebrating the imprints of past naval activity and the Gullah Geechee culture, restoring and adapting critical habitats in the face of rising sea levels and salinity, and promoting access by providing additional parking, ferry transportation, and signage to highlight existing paddle trails and boat ramps at nearby parks. These goals support programming recommended by community stakeholders, which will provide opportunities for recreation, conservation, and education. Connectivity Park is located between Brunswick and New Hanover counties. From 2010 to 2020, Brunswick was the second fastest growing county in North Carolina. New Hanover is amongst the top 10 most populated counties in North Carolina. Key nodes for the Connectivity Park Master Plan include an education center where visitors can learn about the island's history and the way the landscape and ecology have changed over time, or scale the observation tower for a bird's eye view of wildlife or the nearly 1,000 acres of parkland containing 7 miles of paddle trails and 8 miles of boardwalk. There are 2 kayak hubs where park patrons can rent kayaks and explore 2 overlapping paddle trails, each approximately 3.5 miles long, and have close-up encounters with aquatic and marshland wildlife. 1.6 acres of the lagoon is dedicated to pedal boats, and crabbing stations are at the end of the half-mile boardwalk. Several campsites are offered throughout the island to provide varying level of overnight wildlife immersion in several unique and lively landscapes. The Education Center is located on the high ground of the east coast of Eagles Island. It connects to the battleship through the Greenway Loop and extends the interest of its visitors further into the island. It is divided into 3 structures built in phases: water, woods, and sky. These spaces offer different ways to learn about and engage with the historical and ecological features of this unique island. Naval history and tidal information in the Water Center, Gullah culture in the main conditioned space, and an overview of the island and bird life in the tower. The chosen site takes advantage of natural features in the area, including high flood-resistant topography and one of the few naturally occurring groves of trees on Eagles Island. Being above the reach of flooding ensures the building's safety and longevity, while the trees offer protection, shading, and a chance for visitors to closely interact with nature. Approaching the site, the greenway leads straight into the grove of trees. The main conditioned space emerges from the grove as visitors discover the building. The greenway extends along the side of the building and invites visitors to either side of the gallery inside. The building is divided on the axis created by a walkway leading to the river. The largest area will be a flexible gallery focusing on the historical significance of the Gullah Geechee people and their contribution to the surrounding communities. A small open office will host staff functions and serve as a spot for camping registration. The gallery is divided by a curved courtyard that turns into the space and gives visitors an up-close view of wildlife and helps the participants feel the woods surrounding them. The butterfly roof opens toward the western edge of the trees and covers the porch area, directing the views upward into the trees. The west side of the building is full of large windows that open to a partially covered veranda that wraps around the north corner of the building, further connecting the wooded area to the interior. The axis that divides the space guides viewers up a short staircase into the tower that protrudes from the center. It offers an opportunity for visitors to climb above the canopy and look out over the island. The viewing tower will offer information about different sites in the master plan, as well as highlight interesting ecological features. The tower can also be used as a bird viewing station for the wide variety of indigenous bird species that call Eagles Island home. Following the access out toward the Cape Fear River, visitors will have access to the Water Center. The long boardwalk maintains the height of its origin, making the Water Center sit high above the tides. This space will focus on the naval history of the river, highlighting sites and features along the banks of the Cape Fear. The structure will focus on views going north and south along the river. These views are guided not only by the large openings on the north and south faces, but the butterfly roof opening towards those directions. A long sloping ramp will arch from the woods to the water's edge and back to the water's center. Bringing visitors down to the water, they will be able to enjoy a recreation area with hands-on exploration of tidal ecology. It will be an opportunity to learn about the rich life supported by marshland and water quality improvement efforts. Visitors arriving to the site by kayak will be able to use the ramp to access the complex. The center will serve as a hub for the park and not only increase attraction to the area, but appreciation for and engagement with its rich history and ecology. For our master plan, we're proposing 2 kayak hubs to promote recreation and exploration of Eagles Island. Since the park will be experienced through its greenway boardwalk and waterways, we want to offer facilities for visitors to rent and launch kayaks or other low-impact vessels. A location on the west side of the island on the Brunswick River and a location inland along Alligator Creek will break up the path and create a series of nodes connecting Belleville and Leland to Wilmington. Inspired by the emerging forms of the marsh, the structure will rise from the landscape and connect park visitors to the water from the boardwalk. The building will be raised on timber piles to protect it from flooding and to anchor it into the site. The boardwalk intersects the structure, creating a covered rest area where visitors could stop along the trail. 4 restroom changing facilities are supplied by a rainwater catchment system that provides water for sinks, toilets, and a kayak cleaning station. Rain is channeled from a corrugated metal roof into 2 cisterns which filter and store the captured water. The restroom changing towers act as wayfinders in the marshland, assisting with navigation through the park, and are equipped with sinks, toilets, and a changing bench. The non-conditioned structure is enclosed by a system of polycarbonate panels which allows the building to open and close down. Slatted sunshades lowered to protect the building during hurricanes and severe weather. Inside the hub is open storage for 40 kayaks, an equipment rental station, lockers, a lounge area, and a separate storage area for paddles, life jackets, and other gear. During the day, the polycarbonate frames slide up and lock into place to allow the building to open. In the evenings, the building can easily be closed down and secured. Extending from the front of the structure is a ramp and launch point. At the end of the dock is a floating platform, which allows the structure to move up and down with the tide through a track and hinge mechanism. The structure is primarily timber framing with reinforced wooden steel trusses inside the building. During the day, the structure can open to allow for natural ventilation to cool the space. Positioned on the edge of the marsh, the structure will extend out to connect the Brunswick River and Alligator Creek. Signage along the Blueway trails will guide visitors through the park and provide navigation to the remote campsites, which can only be reached by kayak or boat. A huge question asked of the existing plans for Eagles Island has to do with the proposed hotel development project slated for construction on the high ground on the east side of the island. A hotel can provide shelter and refuge for the weekend or the night, particularly to people who intend to explore the immediately adjacent surroundings, but how can this be enhanced to better take advantage of the unique ecology of Eagles Island? We believe this is an incredible opportunity to introduce camping as an alternative development option to provide visitors a place to stay and enhance the connection between humans and nature. These camping pods represent a starting point for developing a vernacular and potentially modular system of structures for walkable and paddleable camping experiences within our proposed park, as well as along the greater Gullah Geechee Blueway Trail. This project details the potential for one remote campsite that is paddleable at the northern edge of Eagles Island. This form, originally inspired by the Gullah Geechee Fanner Basket, has 2 large openings that will create an immersive experience with the natural landscape of Eagles Island. These openings will be made of a clear plastic that is connected to the structure by a zipper, allowing visitors to both enter the pod but also open and close at varying degrees to improve ventilation of the space. A secondary bug screen fabric can be zipped and unzipped from a second zipper system to allow the pod to be open without inviting too many bugs in. The ability to fall asleep in the open air creates a beautiful opportunity for connecting humans with the sounds and sights of nature. The structure within the pod provides lockable storage around the perimeter for keeping luggage and food safe during the day. Cleaning supplies and trash or compost bins can be left in these cabinets to promote the leave no trace principles of outdoor ethics, which most experienced campers abide by. This is modeled in the same way storage on a boat would be created, opening from the top. Within this casework system is a platform meant to host sleeping bags or cabin mattresses oriented in a way that you can sleep and look up at the stars. There is also a mezzanine platform meant to provide space to hang a hammock and still maintain the beautiful views upwards toward the sky. The dock itself provides gathering space around a fire pit or grill area to allow visitors to be able to roast marshmallows or heat up small meals. The dock also provides several boat cleats to securely tie the kayaks to the campsite. The pod sits in a hole within the wooden dock structure, allowing the pod to move freely with the tide, but it is also secured by an adjustable chain to a small foundation in the ground to keep it from floating away. This can also accommodate for the change in sea level through flexibility of the length of the chain. The abstracted ellipsoid shape is ideal for the pods needed to float in the river, maximizing views and allowing for ventilation within the space, but not providing much shade or cooling within the structure. A second layer of opaque fabric can be developed or used to cover portions of the apertures as a way of shading the interior. These pods are constructed of 2 layers of a curved, silicone-coated, fiberglass reinforced polymer panel, which is essentially a tightly woven plastic material that is formed to its shape and hardened through a silicone-heavy resin coating. This material is very lightweight, which provides the opportunity for these pods to float and adapt between tide changes and even through the detriment of a big storm. This also means it won't require incredibly heavy machinery during construction, minimizing the project's disturbance of the landscape as it is being built. This material is super elastic and flame retardant, which is helpful for allowing campfires or grills on each of the docks. It also has a life expectancy of about 25 years, and at this scale would require little to no maintenance in order to achieve that. Aesthetically, the material is translucent, and at night will show the glow of a lantern or lamp within the structure, creating a uniquely futuristic camping experience. The individual pods are connected via a greater boardwalk system that snakes around the island and provides a total of 19 individual campsites that can host up to 3 campers each. Along this boardwalk are small bulges that can be used as communal spaces and opportunities to provide power and support the pods. A pollinator garden and floating wetland provides more spaces to inspire interactions with nature as visitors make their way around the path. Solar panels can be implemented in optimal locations to provide electricity to each of the pods, powering lights, as well as 1 or 2 outlets, allowing visitors to charge their phones and maintain GPS and cellular connection. Another use for these bulges could include a bathhouse complex with rainwater harvesting to be used for no-flush toilets, sinks, and showers. At either end of the boardwalk is a viewing area that looks toward Eagles Island, providing yet another opportunity for experiencing the sights, sounds, and smells of Eagles Island ecology. Campsites allow campers to come face to face with the birds, bugs, and fish that call Eagles Island home. Sparking curiosities can come from the ability to hear all of the sounds that go along with such remote and natural spaces. Unique to the experience of the rest of the Culture Trail users, nighttime experiences like stargazing allows a beautiful connection between humans and nature. These campsites can accommodate a wide range of camping experiences. Beginner paddlers and campers have the comfort of a closed, sheltered space with a manageable and guided route from the kayak hub to this remote landscape. Advanced paddlers may come here as a detour and rest before embarking on the rest of their journey along the Greater Gullah Geechee Blueway Trail. As the sun sets on the Eagles Island Nest campsites, the soft glow of lanterns within each pod identifies a community of users participating in this special experience with the ecological elements of Eagles Island. Views are oriented towards the river and the island, but other pods are visible while journeying along the connective boardwalk, looping around this sub-island territory. This concept of safety and community cannot be achieved in a hotel with doors and hallways, but better within this open-air experiential activity. The remoteness of the site allows unfiltered and beautifully natural noises from birds, bugs, as well as unique encounters with animals that would be impossible to experience near a paved parking lot full of cars and the massiveness of a hotel. The overall mission of these campsites is to provide a unique experience to spark interest in Eagles Island, a safe place to rest and relax along the trails, and provide low impact ecological interactions and sensible cultural education. These are things that cannot be achieved with an ordinary hotel or hostel. At the center of Connectivity Park lies Little Blue Lagoon, a 32-acre body of brackish water that serves as one of the vital nurseries of the sea. With newly added parking for up to 30 cars, the slower moving water in this area of the park provides an opportunity for a family friendly exploration of the island. Make a splash in our pedal boats, or experience a quick teaser of the landscapes Eagles Island has to offer by hiking the half-mile lagoon trail that weaves through water, marshes, and upland vegetation, and even features a living shoreline demonstration. At the end of the trail, hikers can go crabbing, explore floating treatment wetlands, or take a rest with a panoramic view of Little Blue Lagoon. The pedal boats lie within a 1.6-acre area sequestered by boardwalk to prevent the boats from entering the creek. The dock has capacity for 15 pedal boats, seating up to 5 people each, and life jackets are stored inside a bench near the dock. Planter benches along the boardwalk provide seating for onlookers or nature watchers. A living shoreline will be implemented along the length of the boardwalk to mitigate construction impact, improve water quality, and support conservation efforts. The average tidal fluctuation for the island is 4.5 feet. The boardwalk is elevated to the level of high tide, providing an up-close view of the mudflats during low tide. Campsites are above base flood elevation, and their form was inspired by winnowing houses used by the Gullah Geechee to separate rice from its chaff. To minimize the disturbance of wildlife in the nursery area, the wooden boardwalk will be supported by galvanized steel helical piles. Oyster reef balls will be visible at low tide. These structures provide a wave break and a home to oyster larvae who can reproduce on its surface, and shelter and food for crabs who eat some of the oysters. Oysters filter nutrients and sediment out of the water, providing more sunlight for subaquatic vegetation. Seagrasses such as eelgrass and shoalgrass stabilize the seafloor and provide habitat for animals like juvenile fish and food for species such as the endangered manatee. Low marsh plants aren't just wispy grasses like the smooth cordgrass you see here, but beautiful clusters of low-growing pickerel weed and bright but soft sea oxeye daisies that look beautiful while reducing erosion and feeding pollinators. Fish and crabs enter this area of the landscape while it is flooded. The high marsh won't flood as often, but it still needs resilient coastal plants for extreme tides and storm events, so the planting palette includes the interesting texture of bright green succulent glasswort, the seemingly delicate blooms of Carolina sea lavender, and the wispy red tips of desert saltgrass. The high marsh intercepts stormwater runoff before it reaches the estuary. The tidal buffer and upland zones of Eagles Island currently consist of plants that are struggling to deal with saltwater inundation, such as sweet gums and cypress trees. There are several species of upland and tidal buffer plants that can withstand saltwater flooding, and it is important to introduce these species to stabilize upland soil and have resilient plantings for impending sea level rise. Each of the upland plants shown offer food and shelter to birds and mammals throughout the island, including black bears, songbirds, and foxes. The prominence of the sport of crabbing has actually sparked community conservation efforts, and New Hanover and Brunswick counties already have oyster shell drop-off sites. Blue crabs are abundant, while the oysters they feed on and whose reefs they take shelter in are not, so recycling their shells helps grow more oysters more quickly. Connectivity Park could be an additional shell recycle site or a recipient of recycled shells. Therefore, formal crabbing stations have been created to engage the community in a conservation conversation. The form of the crabbing stations was inspired by dye pits used in West and Central Africa and by the Gullah Geechee to turn indigo plants into dye. Some of the boardwalk cutouts are simply crabbing holes, which double as observation holes, while others are indigo planters to honor the Gullah Geechee more explicitly, and still others are floating treatment wetlands to further reinforce the importance of improving water quality and to attract marine life to the dock. Crabbing offers another conservation opportunity. Traditional crab traps have resulted in the unintended deaths of countless sturgeons, which are now endangered, and terrapins, which are a species of special concern. When equipped with bycatch reduction devices, a small orange plastic piece that is too small for most terrapins and sturgeons to fit through, the threat is virtually eliminated, and users can enjoy the sport of crabbing without sacrificing other animals in the ecosystem. Connectivity Park will be a multi-community hub for its surrounding cities and the greater Gullah Geechee corridor, connecting people to the island's history and ecology. The park will present opportunities for indoor and outdoor education about the island's naval history, Gullah Geechee culture, wildlife, and sea level rise. Recreational opportunities include hiking, kayaking, pedal boating, crabbing, and camping. A range of campsites suitable for beginner to advanced campers will take advantage of the island's diverse landscape. Conservation efforts will be seamlessly integrated through habitat restoration and beautification, supported by low-impact recreation. The remnant rice canals will remain as an important part of history and the island's dynamic ecology. Connectivity Park will establish Eagles Island as a premier ecological and cultural destination.